Thank you, everybody, again for coming to Unclean Hands Explain on our Patreon channel. Here we're going to explain each episode or each chapter to you in more detail, but in a fun way. So I hope you guys like and enjoy, and thank you again for your support.
So, Chapter 11, aptly titled The Bitter Truth. And this is where Thomas finally confronts his family on what's been going on. And one of the first things that his grandfather says is, fuck this community, which squarely places how he feels about everything and that he is just in this for the money.
True. And I wanted them to see that. Like the last episode, you saw the face change from like this humble, nice old guy to a monster. So now he don't have to, just like Mr. Chin, you ain't got to hide it no more.
Yeah.
You wanted to hide it because they was young. Now they old enough to understand the bitter truth, how he'll get this money.
Yeah. And it's more than it seems, even, as so many things are in this whole story, is that it isn't just him acting alone. He didn't just decide, I'm going to take advantage of this community. This was a much larger plan where the government, the United States government, the FBI, came to him and said, we want to disrupt these communities. Because at the time, the 60s and 70s, black communities were really uniting and coming together in very powerful ways. And a lot of people didn't like that and didn't want that and sought to find ways to disrupt that. And so really not only for this business, but for a lot of them to find success, they actually had to fracture the black community so that they wouldn't just go and buy black. They would go to other businesses.
Yeah, I mean, the reason why I wrote this, because, be honest, if you really think about it, black people's only 13% in this country. 13%. But yet, they think we're the biggest threat. I know some countries, some states, we don't even live.
Right.
How many black people you know live in Wyoming, South Dakota,
Right.
Oregon, Utah?
Right.
But yet, media shows we're the biggest threat. How can we be? If we're that scary, because you know if they unite, it's a problem. So they saw this back in the 60s. Well, Hoover, he nah. I literally saw a documentary, and that's why I wrote this, because everything is facts. You can look it up with me. That Hoover said in 1964, the number one threat to the United States was black unity.
Yep.
What kind of shit is that? And at the time, we was 30% of the population.
Right.
We never been 50 or 40. Now we only 13%. But it helped the Latino community because they were so busy worrying about us.
Right.
They went up.
Yeah.
But guess what? 13%. They're like, okay, we ain't got to worry about them no more. They're going to focus on their ass. And that's just how it goes.
Yeah.
You see how they passed the abortion thing, right? I saw that, and it really solidified everything to me. This lady, CNN, the senator from Arizona, when they passed that abortion was illegal, she said, and I quote, finally, we can get our white numbers back up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, a fucking senator says this? So that's, they thought if they keep going down, there's somebody else, but we're not going to be the threat. We 13%. How the hell are we going to get to 50?
It's that whole white replacement theory where they think
I
that
don't
everyone
understand.
is trying to...
But that's why I was trying to show that even back in the 60s, they didn't want that.
No,
And the government, it's not it's the government don't want that.
Yeah.
And that's sad. That's really sad, but it's the truth.
Yeah. And Hoover's FBI infiltrated multiple groups that were, and not groups that were a threat. Like they would come back and report out, this group is not a threat they're not an imminent threat. They don't have weapons. They're just trying to get food for the community, or they're like a resource group.
Yeah, they shut it down.
But he would say, I don't care, find me something. Don't you come back here without something against them, which basically was make it up if you have to.
Of course.
And to find ways to destroy these groups, fracture them, drive wedges in between. And in that infiltration, those agents would often be that disruptive factor.
And the thing is, most of them, they started the informant thing. And guess where they got the most informants from? The barbershops, the beauty shops, where everybody had to congregate.
Yeah.
The reverends. Hell, Jesse Jackson was an informant. He the one told me everywhere Martin Luther King was going.
Right.
Jesse Jackson.
Yeah.
who the man ran for president, and I grew up, my grandmother had 3 pictures. One of Jesus, one of Martin Luther King, one of Jesse Jackson.
Yeah.
And when she heard that shit, she threw that damn picture down. Oh, and 2 more things. The wooden spoon and a wooden fork. They're the ones you got beat with back in the day. You know what I mean?
Right, because you could grab them off
Yeah,
the wall
yeah.
quickly.
You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm
the
talking
spatula
about.
wasn't in range.
Yeah, but that's what happens. So, just the more you know that, hey, man, this shit is stacked against us. But I just want you to see anything I wrote on this, you can literally look it up.
Yeah. Yeah, and not a lot of people know about these incidents, or not just incidents, about this plan.
These agendas, yeah.
Exactly. Because it wasn't just a few isolated incidents by a few bad apples, as they like to say. This was a structural...
Like we talked about earlier, FBI couldn't mess with the mob.
Right.
They had evidence on them. So who next you going to get? These radicals.
Right.
These hippies. These black radicals.
Yeah.
That's what you get. And the first thing you did, make marijuana a number 3 class A drug, just like cocaine or something. All of them go to jail now.
Yeah.
They ain't worry about them voting. There you go.
Right.
So yeah, it's there, but I just want people to know that that's how Mark Williams got tied into it, because he was a failing funeral home guy.
He was, yeah.
The Johnson family was getting all the money. That town is mostly black. Got rid of them. Now he got everything.
Right. Well, and that seems to be continuing in this story here, because we see this car dealership at the end that the officer is running. And we get, when he says to Thomas that this never ends, there's always going to be something to disrupt this community, he seems to be indicating that he's doing the same thing at this car dealership.
Well, I leave a little suspense for Unclean Hands 2, which is going to happen 15 years later.
Yeah.
I do a 15-year gap between each one. So it's 95, then you're looking at 2010. The next year, I'll make it like 2000, when the book come out, maybe 2013.
Yeah.
Well, 2023, 2024, it'll come out.
Yes.
So it's around a 15-year gap. So you'll know that, nothing's stopping. You got a voice, someone's going to fill it.
Exactly what we were saying before, that there's always something to fill that power void.
Well, as it goes on, this 15-year gap, the city's gonna get bigger, of course. Mm-hmm. More players are coming in, more characters, but it still is the same thing. That if you have a demand, someone will supply it.
Yes,
and that's just it. And again, I try to make it a southern version of Snowfall and Power.
Yeah,
Snowfall for the West Coast, Power for Northeast or the area. And then now you have Unclean Hands for the South.
Yes. Well, I can't forget too that we did have a major character here who will not be rejoining, in that Mark was taken out by Bells.
Yeah, he had to. I mean,
yeah.
He had to clean everything up, because I didn't want nobody to think that this whole series is about the Williams family.
Yeah.
No, they're taken out. And I told you, the next one will be 15 years later. Somebody else going to fill the void. Right. That's why at the very end, I gave you a clue.
Yeah.
I gave you some kind of clue, but trust me, that's not everything. But I gave you a little clue. But yeah, I mean, somebody's going to fill that void, man. But yeah, Mark Williams had to die, all the shit he did.
Yeah.
And all the things he said, and all his conniving ways. That's why I try to make the illustration show that he was a monster.
Yes. Well, and speaking of monstrous things, I think we also need to point out that, in connection with what Officer Kelly says about things don't change, Thomas's article, we get a glimmer of hope for a second there, that, hey, this article has affected some change, that people have read this and are coming together to go, let's shop in our communities more, let's build this power back. Mm-hmm. But that is kind of ripped out from underneath us whenever we see that this kind of thing is still continuing. So I thought that was a pretty great moment, that we get that little bit of hope, and then we realize that, is there really any way out of this?
Well, it shows especially with Thomas, that after the story came out, he exposed everything.
Yeah.
It's going to be a period of calmness.
Right.
But Dee Dee comes and destroys that calmness.
Yeah. Dee Dee
because
comes in a wheelchair.
You know? So, yeah, with the DG part, I was to make sure that people know that, okay, everything be good for a while, but still, there's a void that needs to be filled. And don't think because Thomas's grandfather's dad, Mark Williams, there's somebody else that know that town was ripe for the picking.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So someone knew that there's money there. Mark had the FBI and the government behind him, so they couldn't fuck with that town.
Yeah.
He's no longer there. FBI can get somebody else to fill it in.
Right.
That's just how it works.
Right. And again, it's now such a pattern that's occurred for so long that it's hard to see a way out of it.
Yeah, let's talk about Dee Dee.
Dee Dee, yes, Dee Dee, when she shows up in that wheelchair, at first I thought maybe I had missed something. I'm like, wait, did I forget a scene where Dee Dee gets hurt somehow? I'm like, why is she in a wheelchair? And then it's revealed that this has to do with, well, things came back around on her to some degree. But what I liked was that when she explains it, she reveals that things were not as they seem, and that Mims was actually beaten up on her, right. That Loco actually kind of came to support her in that.
I mean, you think I was going to forget about her? I mean, I would have tied in from the beginning to the end. You got to close the circle, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, something had to happen to her. Those other guys are dead.
Yeah.
You think OG Mims didn't have a woman? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was something had to happen to her.
Yeah.
If not, it wouldn't have made sense. It wasn't realistic. But yeah, I mean, she explained how, you know, she was getting roughed up or whatever.
Yeah.
But still, to mess with his best friend, that's a no-gotta.
Right.
You can't do that.
Right.
You know what I
Even
mean?
if he is the supportive
so,
one.
yeah, I mean, anybody else but that guy.
Right.
It's like you leave your wife leave for your brother or cousin. That's wrong, B. Yeah. Something got to be taken care of. Anybody else but him. And then she had kids by this guy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, when he died, she got it. But you know, I made it brutal. But
yeah, the girlfriend
shot in the back and both knees.
Yeah, she's not walking again.
No, she can't walk. Mm-hmm. You're gonna be a hoe being a hoe in a wheelchair. You know what I mean? And my whole thing was back in the days I grew up. I was like, yo, it was a law. If shoot anybody below the waist, it's not attempted murder. So it was a knee thing for us.
Oh.
It shot you in the knees.
Yeah.
So that's why I originally I just wrote her to get shot in the knees.
Right.
But I'm like, you know what? I want to get shot in the back too, because she really did some fucked up shit. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? To mess with two dudes, because she really got both of them killed, be honest.
Right.
Like Thomas said, Dee Dee, you got wholesome responsibility for this too.
Yeah.
No, and he was right. You mess with his best friend, something was bound to happen when this guy get out. Mm-hmm. And she's trying to explain why he joined the crib. That doesn't matter. He joined the crib to protect his own ass because he knew that man was coming home.
Right.
So he knew he was wrong too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Two wrongs don't make a right.
So she's still alive, but I don't know if she's going to be returning. I mean, there's a lot of characters who didn't make it out of this story. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I'm very interested to see who's gonna appear in chapter 2.
Unclean Hands 2.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to stay tuned, but trust me, it's a lot of new characters and some old, but it's gonna be much, much more current with today. Yeah. But like I said, it was 95. The next one will be 2008. Then the last one will be up to date. But they all coming, and you should have both before the end of 2025, or they'll be done. Because remember, I got other series to do.
Yeah, I've got a lot of.
But Unclean Hands is my baby, you know.
Yeah.
So that's what we're doing with that. But these are just books and the audio visual. The animations are coming out. This is gonna be amazing.
I look forward to that.
Unclean Hands animation should be out by the end of the year, and after that, we just keep rolling. For the next 4 years, it's nothing but animation.
All right. Well, I guess people should keep staying tuned and looking for all these things coming up.
Yes, and of course, my Patreon supporters, they'll be the first ones to get everything as usual. You guys pay, you support this channel. I make sure you guys get everything first. Trust me, I love you guys, and to me, you guys are family. After that, YouTube channel will get it, but you guys are always first. And thank you again for supporting us. Like I said, we got more content. We got my great host Perry with me, and we're gonna keep doing our thing. And thank you guys for everything. And please look at us on YouTube and Instagram. Thank you guys for everything. We love you.
Well, I've really enjoyed taking this journey with you because, of course, you knew the whole story, but I've been finding out as we went along here. And I'm looking really, really forward to see where this goes.
All right, thank you so much. Next one is Relative Weddings. We'll do that soon, okay? The Relative Wedding, I'll explain this next. Thank you, guys.